Bayanihan Linux is a Filipino pioneering Linux distro or operating system. This distro or distribution of Linux started its journey in 2001 and discontinued as written in the status in fandom.com. Hello, my name is Blair and welcome to another OS operating system. We'll take our first look into Bayanihan OS Linux. Our story starts with a comment from the previous video in my playlist OS, the operating system, when I take a look into this Commander OS from the Philippines, which is probably our second OS Linux in the Philippines. Yes, I admit I nearly forgotten this about the pioneering Linux OS in the Philippines. I've heard this Bayanihan Linux long time ago, and I didn't realize and really didn't mind those distros at that time. Yes, I've said during the Commander Linux OS as the first Filipino distro because I nearly forgotten the Bayanihan Linux OS years ago. I've heard this from my fellow computer programmer in the Philippines that Bayanihan Linux OS might be, at that time, might be discontinued. That was about 2011 to 2015. We just focused at that time with our programs, which is the Department of Science and Technology, the Department of Bayanihan Linux. Fast forward to this moment, I've tried to look for some answers that I could find into the internet and in social media, but some little answers. So what happened to Bayanihan Linux OS of the Philippines? I found this article about what happened to Bayanihan. I've looked for, and the title says, Still in Dilemma. This article was in June 17, 2006. Let's take a look into this comment. This was published by a newspaper network based in Pangasinan, but the newspaper is based in Cebu. So let's take a look into this comment. By June this year, Department of Trade and Industry hoping to deploy more computers. Actually, the third batch of its kind. That is, 1,200 schools throughout the Philippines. The DTI says a report in the Inquirer, which is another newspaper, and a website says are now evaluating the post-qualifying bids for the computers or the personal PCs for the public schools project, probably to see not just what most advantages to our government in terms of the price, but also practical consideration. Mainly the DTI or Department of Trade and Industry is trying to make it mind on whether to use the open source OS, open source operating system, or the Microsoft operating system, or the Apple Mac computers operating system for their PCs. And here we go. Ben Fortaleza wrote this as argued. I believe in the government that make more sense that making money. Mind just one voice through. Two, if I may add technos to make it better to bid and to award by the DTI to whoever will get this project. The issue is quite valid. Why? Well, ways of much money for a software. The government can save a lot of money by using an open source operating system compared to a proprietary software, which is also with our GIS, which is I'm involved in that particular project as a disaster manager between 2011 to 2019. Eventually, when I transfer right here in Thailand as a teacher. So yes, it is advantage for using this open source operating system. Many of those schools are located in a remote area, which is kind of like away from the technical side. So the government also hopes that to consider this Bayanihan Linux OS is a good option. As a programmer and a developer, yes, it will be advantage. It is not only stable and easy to install, but also support a strong community of users in Bayanihan OS. Like Bayanihan, as I said, it is a open source and a strong community. It was also designed to use for children. So the Philippine government was in the right track for this open source operating system. It's free to use and freedom to use. But I found this interesting. The post of this article is probably abrupted, like cut in this unexpectedly, without any explanation. Why this just stopped or cut suddenly? This still find me interesting that I will try to find some answers in the future. But for now, let's take a look into this discontinued Bayanihan Linux OS today in OS operating system. Let's try to install in our computer and try to look into this. Our first look. Single user. Now let's take a look into this Bayanihan OS Linux version 5 actually from the DOST, Department of Science and Technology in the Philippines. So this was celebrated its 50th anniversary at the time. I'm using a virtual box to use this as my platform instead of installing it in my laptop. So let's wait for this to load everything. So as we wait our OS to load everything, I'm planning to look into another OS which comes from Thailand, which is right now I'm based. It's called the Ultramarine OS Linux. That's gonna be on the next OS first look. Let's log in. I already installed this in my virtual box. So let me try to enter the super secret password. Wow, okay. So it has this welcome information. So this was actually supported by a lot of developers. So let me try to configure this desktop first. It will be like the display should be bigger, like, you know, like 1080. Yeah, we have 1080 right here. All right. Even though that I already like installed this just a while ago, I still don't know what will be. So as you can see, I'm in right now, and let's try to see what kind of application that we could use right here. And of course, I'm really don't know if this is gonna work or not, but let's see. Okay, so let's open this. So wow, it's the menu is like a old version of Windows, like Windows XP, something like that. So they have all the applications right here. They have installed the GNU image manipulator program, which is the image editor. We also have the image viewer, the Gwen viewer, some of our KDE programs. So probably this is a KDE program that is running in the background as a desktop environment. And the internet application folder has different types of application, especially from the KDE desktop environment. We also have the Conqueror, which is the KDE web browser. Aside from that, we also have the Mozilla Firefox as I think this is the default. Let's try to open if what we could find right here. Oh, as expected, because this one is a little bit like way back then, like throwback, like throwback. So let us see this. So this Firefox was version 3.0.6, which is, to be honest, it discontinued for quite a while, probably 20 years ago. And of course, as you can see right here, the update is also disabled, so which means this version is not carried by the Firefox or Mozilla group anymore. So let's try to use the Conqueror if this is still working from KDE. Okay, I don't know if this works or not. Let's try to go to, like, let me see. How about Firefox? Firefox.com. Let's try to see if we could connect into this internet. Ooh, so the server certificate failed as the authority tests of Firefox is discontinued already. So let's try to continue. Oh no. Probably could still download the Firefox application. Let's try. Your download was interrupted, but all is not lost. And I think I cannot move my mouse. Sorry, my students are here. So let me see. We'll try to find some solution because this is gonna be a very old type of browser and I don't know if it's gonna be working or not. Let's try Synaptic. Okay, let's try Synaptic. If we could download Firefox. So let's try to make some updates. Who knows? Just update. Mark all. Nope. Search for Firefox. Oh no. Our version is okay, so this won't work. Of course, this is very old device. Oh, let me. So at least the Open Office is still working. Only Office Writer, yes, it could. We still can use. We could use it. We could type right here. Yes, we could. So some of the applications are a little bit like not working because of this very old version. Let me see. Some application like the multimedia is still working. We could like look into this new application. Probably I'm just gonna connect into the new download a new file to make it work. Well, I don't want to revive this as sole developer, but this is pretty awesome. It's basically like a modern Windows XP. So I nearly forgotten this OS. So I hope we could like revive this one as a community, not only one sole developer. This is my first look and I'm blown away because this is kind of a bit like years ago, and it is awesome to see this as it's still working, you know. And we could like probably only the internet browser are not working, and of course not only that but also the Synaptics package manager. The utilities are good, the editors are good. Yep, this is all good. Desktop, even the calculator. Let me see if this works. Oh, Let's try to calculate a very, very, very complicated calculation. 1 plus 1. Yeah. The multimedia is working. Yeah, we could play MP3s, CDs, recording tools are also playing. Some of the KDE applications are still working, so which means we could still work these things out, probably only to download a new Firefox web browser and try to download the KDE or the Synaptic Package Manager. Let me try to look into this console. Let's try. So let's try NeoFetch. Oops, we cannot not. We could not. So let's try. apt update. Oh, okay. Oh no, we could not. Oh, let me see. What we could do is to upgrade first. Ooh, okay. How about apt get? Okay. Update. Okay. So we need to change the parameters and the dependency. So I need to take a look into this to configure the console. Utilities. We have magnifier, calculator, right, or the text editor. You also have the files, the archives. If you have the floppy, it could still work. Yeah, so I think that's about it. I hope you enjoy this video. I will take a look into this in the near future, and of course ask my fellow developers in the Philippines, especially in the Department of Science and Technology. To my friend Ryan, any information about this Bayanihan Linux OS 5, if they gonna operate it again? Because, well, we all know that operating systems in the open source are really like not dead. Actually, it's just like in hiatus. So let's try to see what we could find in this this Bayanihan Linux OS 5 in the future. So anyway, if you have some comment, please comment down below if you have information about this Bayanihan OS Linux 5, and I'll try to come back into another video in the next video in probably the future. So I'm Blair, your science teacher for Linux OS operating system. Bye for now and see you in the next episode. And remember that science means knowing, because science is cool. Ciao. Oh, I nearly forgot how to turn off this one. Oh yeah. Turn off the computer.